All right, let's get started. These are the session 2 head coaches for 4 incredible teams in the Big Ten. Welcome to the Big Ten Championship. We are excited that you're in Ann Arbor. To get started, Brett, if you would mind getting us started, state your name for the camera, your role with the team, and give us a little opening statement about how the team is feeling going into the championship weekend.
Yeah, Brett Nelligan here from the University of Maryland. Been head coach now. This is my 16th season, which is hard to believe. I feel like I just got here. The team is doing great. We're excited to be here. The University of Michigan has done just an incredible job. The arena looks amazing. And then the Big Ten Conference, I think if you look across the country and you want to look for the way a conference championship should be done, the Big Ten Conference is the gold standard. So we're just excited to be here.
Yeah, Nadalie Walsh, head coach for Illinois, and I'd like to echo everything that Brett said. It is absolutely stunning. The podium looks great. Everything about the arena is amazing, and even just the small details. So thank you to Michigan. As far as excited to be here, I think preseason prepares you for postseason, and it's clean slates. And so I think for us personally, we're just excited that we went through ups and downs to be able to make us be here and be strong and have a great time.
I'm Sarah Brown, the head coach for Penn State University. I'm in my 8th season, and I've been at Michigan before. It really is an elite level facility. Walking in today, it felt like a championship, so thank you to Michigan for making it feel so special for not just the athletes, but even the coaches. This is special for all of us as well to be coaching in this environment. Our team has also gone through some ups and downs this year, but I'm most excited to get to see our younger athletes in this championship environment. They deserve to be celebrated. They deserve to be on live TV. They deserve to get these interviews and all the photos and all the things that come with it because they've worked so hard. And we've got great leadership from our upperclassmen who have been in this arena before. So whether they're competing or whether they're cheering on their teammates, I know that coming together as a group, this is always a special event. And we're going to make it feel special for them in the hotel, outside of the arena, and then obviously celebrate them as much as we can tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Llewellyn with University of Iowa. This is my first season here. This is my first time in this arena as a student athlete and a coach, so really excited to be here. Echoing what Sarah said too about it feeling like a postseason championship. I think just watching practice day, it feels like you're at the national championship. So kudos to them, excited to be here, excited to experience it. Most of our athletes haven't been in this arena, so it's exciting for them, especially freshmen, sophomores, juniors, for them to be in here for the first time. So our team's in a good spot. Really grateful for being on this journey with them in year one. We've learned a lot about them from August all the way up until now, and every meet we just learn a little bit more and build that trust, and really happy with where they're at and excited just to start off postseason with a bang, and grateful to be in the session with this group of coaches and teams too. So I mean, every session I think is going to be tremendous and really exciting to watch, so I hope the whole country is watching every session.
Absolutely. Okay, a question for all of you. Brett, we'll get started with you. Obviously, this is a new format for the Big Ten Championship with the addition of 2 new teams in UCLA and Washington. You guys are in the second session, and the Big Ten Championship is the only championship that's seeded based on a win-loss record. Can you just speak to, as a conference, as your team, how you feel personally being in that second session, earning your way into that second session, and what it means from the competitive standpoint for the conference and for our student athletes to have these 3 sessions, more days at the Big Ten Championship, all those things? Tell me about your feelings.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, starting first and foremost with having the 3 sessions, I mean, credit to these coaches in our meetings and credit to the Big Ten Conference for valuing every one of our student athletes and giving every single student athlete the opportunity, no matter what session you're in, you can be a Big Ten champion on any event, in the all-around, and as a team. And that's not possible in every conference. So that's something that we're really proud about. And then, from top to bottom, this conference is so talented. I mean, there's every team in this conference has, athletes that can on any day, put up 9 9s and 10s. So what I like about the win-loss, I think it makes the sport more similar to other sports. I think every sport in the Big Ten is seeded this way. I think every sport in every other conference besides gymnastics is seeded this way. It makes sense, teams that, it's hard to compare scores, right? The score across the country, this score. But it's not hard to compare? Head to head. You beat this team, you lost to this team, that's where you get your record and that's how you get seeded. And it makes sense to me, and hopefully it makes sense to our fans.
Yeah. And Nadalie?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the win-loss record, while it might be different than other conferences, it really aligns with the integrity of our coaches and what we felt was best years ago. We revisit it every October when we talk in our meetings, and we decide that this is what we want. We want to go head-to-head. We want winning and losing to matter. And I think kind of on the step aside of the competitive part of that, like as a coach and a mentor, like we can teach them through winning and we can teach them through losing. And I think like that is something that is huge everywhere. I mean, you go to basketball, you're not going to walk away usually with a tie. I mean, they do overtime just to figure out who is going to win at the end. And so I feel like for us, we as coaches really stood by that. We still stand by that, and we'll. If we want to change our mind, we can change it later, but we're not changing it now. And ultimately, I think like with the win-loss record, it does really show there is so much depth in our conference. It's anybody, any day. You have to be on, and if you're not on, then you might not walk away winning that competition. And I think it makes it exciting that we have 3 sessions. And for one, we're all here, so thank you to Wendy for, I know you're a huge advocate for us to be an all-comers conference and have everybody here, but for all of the sessions to be battling it out, it's no different than what we do all year. We're battling across the country, the scores, you're always battling, right? And so with us getting an opportunity to use the win-loss record this year, this is how it worked out, this is how we're moving forwards, and I think that it is the right decision because it's what we decided.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that Brett and Nadalie have already said, but I'll say this. I think this conference is so competitive that whatever rule we decide to go with, whatever standard we decide to set, we will compete towards that goal. This is the one that we decided upon, and when the conference expanded, I actually think it made more sense to stick with the head-to-head because of the scoring being different coast to coast, and because of the no plays for the very first time, experiencing that. Sometimes I think we make too many changes at one time and then we don't actually see anything through. So I'm actually really glad that we have validated our season. And I remember a couple of coaches years ago when we started this saying the validity of our season matters. Why do we have a regular season if head-to-head doesn't matter, right? So I think that we will abide by whatever rules we decide to go by. But I learned in my very first year that there's no off weekend in the Big Ten. There's no easy weekend. There's no easy arena to compete in. And your athletes have to show up week after week after week. So I think it's huge that we're all here. I don't think any session is a given. I don't think any session is an easy win for anybody. I think we've felt that the entire season. And then just commenting on what Nadalie said as well, we talk about this all the time. I don't know life at Penn State without being a mom, and so my son is 7, and we talk a lot about winning and losing. Every single time there's a winner, there's also a loser. And I don't mean loser, but I mean a team that didn't win. So it's always hard to walk away from a meet not having won. But as a coach, it is your job to point out where you were victorious, what was great for your team, where can you get better, and not to just be like poly positive all the time, but you can always take a win from some sort of a competition, whether it's an actual W in the column or whether it's a lesson that your team learned. And I think that's just something that we do really well here in the Big Ten. We have a lot of integrity in the way that we compete with one another. We're pretty close as coaches and friends, and so I think it's important that we respect the win-loss record, and then compete hard against one another, and then go hang out afterwards, maybe. So.
Yeah. This is my first time experiencing the win-loss. At the previous conference I was at, we did NQS, so I'm excited to experience it, and I think it really does make the wins and losses mean more. I think beginning of the year, we were picked to be lower in the Big Ten in the regular season, so it's fun for our athletes to go in and be able to have that prove them wrong mindset and get a couple wins along the way when no one expected it. I think the fans are able to follow it, sport admins are able to follow it, so it puts more weight on it, and I do like the idea that other sports do it, so it's fun. I'm excited to experience it and grateful to be in the second session this afternoon, but whatever everyone else said too is spot on. So
that's great. All things gymnastics. You want to ask your questions?
Yes. My first question is for Sarah. You've had a lot of your top athletes go down with injury, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm curious, how have you helped the team to stay positive and motivated despite that?
Thank you. I'll be very transparent. I cried when they cried. You know, I did. I mean, you watch these kids put their whole lives into a sport, and it's just a sport. But goodness, it means a lot to them, and it means a lot to us. We were blindsided by those injuries. We had a great fall. We had a great preseason, and we lost only one routine from last year, so we were really confident coming into the season. But I've shared this with everybody. We had a top recruiting class, and we only lost that one routine. And so as we had all these returners, I did wonder, how do you get your newcomers experience? How do we fit them into the lineups? This was certainly not the way I wanted to do it, but man, did they get some great opportunities. So the positivity has to shift, right? I've always said I think two things can be true at the exact same time. We can be both sad about the injuries and helping those athletes cope, and we can also be optimistic for the future. And so again, it kind of goes back to the win-loss. One of our athletes is suffering, the other athlete has another opportunity. You cannot hold one over the other. Both are valid at the exact same time. And so it's just creating space for us to kind of mourn the loss, right, and grieve what that athlete's going through or what our team's going through. And then at some point you have to pivot, and at some point you have to look forward to the future. And I know, and what I've continued to say is, the athletes that went down want nothing more than success for the athletes that are competing. And when we win as a team. So it doesn't matter if a certain athlete didn't compete in a lineup. If we win a championship, she gets a ring. That's exciting, right? So I think that's how you have to try to keep it in perspective, but I won't lie. I had a couple moments this year where I've cried with my team, and I've just said, this really sucks, and I'm really sorry that this happened to you. But we're not going to let it define us, and we're certainly not going to give up. I mean, we all say it, but like, what's the alternative? Like, quit? Like, we're not going to do that. So, so you celebrate the small victories, and you breathe life into your newcomers. And I'm thrilled. Our underclassmen are carrying us, and they're thriving, and I'm really proud of them.
Nadalie, I saw her on beam today. Any other events this weekend for her?
She warmed up beam and bars today. We're kind of day by day with her. Certainly would love to have her out there with the team, but also want to think big picture and long term. So tomorrow we talk a lot about the lineup positions are Penn State's lineup positions. They don't belong to a certain person. So whoever is firing on that day and whoever is best for Penn State is going to go. But it is nice to see her out there again.
And then for Jen, you have 2 Olympians and a world medalist in your freshman class, a lot of experience. I guess just talk about the impact that they've had on your team as just, little freshmen.
Yeah, super grateful to get to coach them. Obviously, I didn't have a part of their recruiting process, so excited that they're on this team and they're making a huge splash. But they're just elite level athletes and really good human beings. They elevate everyone around them. I think it's been fun to see just coming straight from the Olympics right into college. They've kept a lot of the habits that they learned in the elite world and taking care of themselves. And Orly specifically is just Theragunning herself all the time, doing stretches, doing prehab. And it's been fun to hear a lot of the returners and even upperclassmen that say, oh, if we're just in the hotel room hanging out and she's like, massaging herself, okay, I'll do a Theragun too and massage myself too. And it's been fun, I think, to see the little impacts that they've had. And they're just a joy to work with, like so level-headed, so easy. And I think having a blast in the college realm.
And then this question we asked all the other coaches, if you had to pick the unsung hero of your team, who would you pick?
That's a good one.
Can it be week by week? It was like every day somebody new.
I'll go. We picked Cassie Barbonente as our sportsmanship honoree because she has breathed so much life and energy into the team. But truly, I think our unsung hero is Ellie Monahan. She started off as an exhibition on one event, and we were hoping that she'd be a backup athlete, and she's fighting for 3 lineups every single week with an opportunity next year. I see a future for her in bars as well. I don't think she gets enough credit. I don't think her scores are nearly high enough, but she's a body that we wouldn't be able to create lineups without, so I'm very proud of her.
I would say Tali Jolson. She is also who we nominated for a sportsmanship award, and she's a junior. She leads off on floor, but ultimately she is an athlete that had a lot of fear issues. And at the end of her she didn't compete at all her sophomore year, and learned a brand new entry of a vault and is competing a 10-0 vault at this championship. That's the journey she went on, and I think it just really gave a lot of people more hope and power, empowered them to be like, wow, if you can do this, then I can do this. But I think it also helped my team to realize feeling sorry for yourself for being a victim will never help you get anywhere in this world. So she doesn't do that. She's got a smile on her face. She's leading the team, making sure that there's a lot of connection between big sister, little sister. She's organizing everything so that they can be successful outside the gym, because everybody knows the connection outside really, really helps the inside. So yeah, I think she'd have to be the overall hero.
I would say our fifth-year senior, Alexa Rothenbuscher, and her journey's been incredible. Her freshman year, she competed no events, 0 events for us. Sophomore year, 1. Junior year, 2. Senior year, 3. And then she came back in a 5th year to do all 4 events for us. And it's just amazing to continue to add over her 5 years with us. And I just love that she came back and felt like there was unfinished business. And then, we get to this point and we talk about injuries and stuff, and she reminds me every day that she's old, she says. She's not a grandma, she's a glam ma, she says. So, I know that she doesn't feel like a freshman, physically, but every weekend she puts out 4 routines for us or whatever we need her to do. So from an unsung hero, it's her just week in and week out putting her body on the line for the team.
Yeah, for us, I would say Haley Tyson. She started at Minnesota and transferred to Iowa last year. Hasn't competed until this year, and was a really great club gymnast. And I think for us, it's been fun as a new staff coming in, and very, very talented athlete, but dealing with a lot of struggles, has overcome adversities with mental blocks and physical ailments. And this year, she's been steady in the lineup for 2 events. So I think for the whole team, to see her overcome those obstacles physically, emotionally, mentally, and be able to come out on the other side. She's a walk-on too, but she's so steady, and has been a tremendous example, I think, for everyone, that you can come overcome adversities, and stuck it through her senior year. So it's exciting to see.
Thank you all.
Cool. I have one more question for you guys, and I'll start with a statement, a fact, actually. This season in the Big Ten, across all 12 Big Ten schools, there were 172,998 fans that attended Big Ten gymnastics meets this year. Obviously, with the addition of two new teams, you're going to increase numbers. But when I pulled these numbers, across the entire country, attendance went up in all home arenas. It's very exciting. It's really cool for the student-athlete experience, right? To provide this energy, to provide this buzz around these student-athletes that deserve these moments, right? And in a few of your arenas, some of these big-name teams came. Brett, I'm actually going to go to you last because I have a fact for you. But if the other 3 of you can just speak to what it means to your programs to have this energy, this buzz, this fan engagement in the Big Ten Conference, where typically the stadiums in the Big Ten Conference aren't the ones that people are talking about, but they're becoming the ones that people are talking about. What does this mean to your team? Nadalie?
I think you can't make anybody think something of you if you don't think of it of yourself. And I think as far as the Big Ten goes, our administrations as well as our communities, they are all starting to hop on board of what we've already known. Like, we have known that our product is amazing. We have known that we have high class, not just athletes, but students. Like, how many 4.0s we have? Like, these are young women who are role models. These young women, they are grinding. And so I think just the fact to hear that number, I did not know that number was as large, but I think that is awesome, and that we as leaders and our teams just need to continue to believe in the Big Ten in a way that forces everybody else to get on board.
I think it's amazing, and I'm so proud to be a part of the conference, and so proud to be a part of Penn State. Gymnastics at Penn State has been around for 61 years, so we have quite the history as new programs are popping up. I remind our kids that we've been doing this for 61 years here at Penn State, so I really appreciate the women who have paved the way ahead of us. I think the investment in women's sports, I mean, you could easily look to Iowa, but across all Big Ten institutions, the investment in women's sports has just been amazing, and so well deserved, right? The athletes are grinding, they're working so hard, they're great role models, they're students first, especially here in the Big Ten Conference. And our athletic director, Dr. Pat Kraft, wants nothing more than to see our women's sports succeed. And you can feel that over the last few years, the investment that I felt from him and his staff is just incredible. And they recognize that nobody's going to care more about your team than us as head coaches. And so they allow that passion and that love that I have for the team to kind of resonate through the department. And then those individuals who get to work with us start to feel that passion. And then they start to travel, and then they start to see other arenas, and then they start thinking, what could we do in our arena? And so it's just been amazing. It starts with somebody believing in you, and then once our administration believed in me, and then they jumped on the road with me and started seeing all the things happening around us, they started figuring out how to make it bigger and better at Penn State, and we're just building on that 61-year history. So it feels amazing, and I'm glad that people get to realize how hard we work and how special our sport is, because it really is, it's my favorite thing. It really is awesome.
Yeah, that number is tremendous. I'd love if we could social media that and repost it everywhere. But it's so fun to be a part of, knowing that whether you go to the West Coast, the Midwest, or the East Coast, that you're going to go into an environment that's competitive, that's loud, that's energetic, and you can not only feel it in the arena, but when you watch it on TV across the country, it's fun to see it. So grateful to be a part of it, and I know every year we go into coaches' conventions and we talk about how do you get butts in seats, and so I love being a part of this conference because everyone is cohesive, and I think all of us are trying to better the sport and grow the sport. And when you go into an arena, just like Sarah said, and you see what they're doing, it's easy to be like, okay, how'd you do that? How can we continue to do that so we can grow the fan base and take ideas there? And that's how women's basketball grew, and that's how gymnastics continues to grow, all the way from Utah back in the day, Georgia, Alabama, and I think we're just on the cusp of having a really big splash in the Big Ten gymnastics.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, Brett.
Yeah, this curveball you're going to throw me.
Not a curveball.
Ready?
You
Okay.
know it. But it's very exciting. You obviously had UCLA come to Maryland and had record-setting attendance in Xfinity Arena. But I think what I wanted to speak specifically to that moment is we can talk about the sum total of all of your seasons prior were less than the one meet amount. But I really believe that the fans that showed up, in over 7,000 people that showed up to that meet, are starting to have their first experience with Maryland gymnastics potentially, and they're continuing to come back.
That's right.
And when one person comes to a gymnastics meet, they're probably going to come back the next time and bring 2 more people.
Yep.
So we see these numbers that you are continuing to grow and continuing to build at Maryland, and the opportunity of having a team like UCLA with star power and good buzz and all that sort of stuff coming to town. You guys really took advantage of it in an amazing way to create a great competitive environment. So just speak specifically to having these teams come into your arenas and having marketing staffs and fan engagement staffs and people really taking advantage of that moment, and not in like a competitive, we want to beat you way, but as a, let's come together as the Big Ten and create great fan experiences.
Yeah, and that event, it was amazing, and the staff at Maryland, the marketing, the media team, the facilities, everyone did such an outstanding job. I mean, we knew that it could be big. I think it was bigger than even some people expected. And this is what I'll say, seeing an athlete like Jordan Childs is maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some of these fans. But the best part for me is when I came out of the tunnel and walked into the arena and I looked around, they were all wearing red. Yes, I know that it was so exciting to come see these 2 great teams, and we were both in the top 25 at the time, but everyone wore red. They came to see Maryland too, it was awesome, and it gave me the chills. And I told my team and my staff, I said, you should never be nervous for something that you've dreamed about your whole life. And these student athletes and us as coaches, it's what we've always dreamed about, either competing in an arena full of people or coaching in an arena full of fans that are cheering for your team to win. And for me, for that moment, that was, that's something that we've always wanted. So I just tried to soak it in, try to tell the team to enjoy it, and now we build from here. And you look across the Big Ten, and we've said it on, I think Sarah said it and Nadalie, there's no nights off in the Big Ten. It's because almost every meet, every weekend, the Big Ten's a top 25 matchup. So I tell fans, come watch, you're gonna like what you see. And then the access that they have now, they can listen to our athletes on podcasts and follow them on Instagram and watch them on TikTok, and you get to know them on such a deeper level that it's even more fun when you watch them compete and you watch them succeed and you watch them win. So if you're not watching women's sports right now, you got to get moving. And specifically, if you're not watching women's gymnastics, you're really missing out. I'm looking right at the camera now. Go watch women's sports. Go watch women's gymnastics.
Here.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Good luck to you and your teams tomorrow in the session 2. Have a great championship and have a great time in Ann Arbor.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.